All right, well, good evening, everybody. It's right around 7:30 p.m. Thank you for joining me. I'm Tom Novak. This is your Novak weather briefing for the winter storm here now that's encroaching on southern Minnesota and eventually is going to wrap up over the southern and eastern portion of Minnesota and then over almost the whole state of Wisconsin, producing quite a bit of snow the way it appears. And I'm going to show you why in just a little bit here. All right. Hey, take a look at this. This is a satellite loop. This is the moisture channel loop from outer space. And look at this beautiful looking storm now that is wrapping up over northwestern Missouri, southern Iowa. Lots of moisture now coming up out of the Gulf of Mexico and being forced up and over a cold dome of air that's in Minnesota right now. And yes, that means snow and even some ice for portions of Iowa, southern Minnesota. It's really snowing hard out in Nebraska. And that's the system, of course, that is moving our way. You can see it here. And one thing to note here, right here, this is what we call a deformation axis now that's developing over northeastern Nebraska. This is usually where the heaviest snows fall, is right at the base of this deformation axis or at the base of these cooling cloud tops here over northeastern Nebraska. And you can kind of see what's happening. We got more rain and showers and some snow that's developing near the Des Moines area in central Iowa. And as this storm system pivots to the north and east, that deformation axis is going to spin right over southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. And that's what's going to produce our heavy snow. Here's the radar as we zoomed out to almost the whole lower 48 here. You can see this is our snow here that's coming up out of Iowa and will be racing northward into southern Minnesota. And that would include the Twin Cities metro here as we get towards the midnight hour. And I think the snow is going to linger as we head into tomorrow morning and then the afternoon hours. This is a radar now from the Twin Cities metro. And look at this, all the snow is now down here in northern Iowa right now. It's going to take a while for it to move north. So I think we got another 3 to 6 hours yet of dry weather in the Twin Cities. Rochester's probably going to get some snow in about the next 2 to 3 hours. So right around 10 o'clock p.m. I think in Rochester. But let's go a little bit further south. Let's take a look at Des Moines because that's where our precipitation is coming from. And look at this. We'll zoom out here for you. Look at this moisture now that is pummeling Des Moines. There's probably some sleet involved here, no doubt some rain and certainly some snow as you get into northern Iowa here as this rain and sleet changes over to snow. But that precipitation is moving straight north towards southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. That is the reason why we can expect quite a bit of snow, several inches of snow here in southern Minnesota and western Wisconsin. Look at the winds. These are the winds at about 20 to 25,000 feet in our atmosphere. And this just goes to show you how strong these winds are in our atmosphere. They're at about 100 knots as we get into Missouri and Illinois. And right at the nose of these winds this evening is where you usually get intense precipitation. And that's certainly what is developing now over Iowa. And these winds are going to be moving to the northeast as we go through the night. Look at this. We're now getting a pivot, what looks to be a pivot as we get towards midnight here, right over southern Minnesota. So that's when the heavy snow, I think, is going to start, is right around the midnight hour tonight. And then as that storm continues to pivot northeast into Wisconsin, we'll get into what's called the wraparound. And that means still more light snow, some light snow showers and flurries as we go through the day tomorrow. So I think slick conditions for much of the day tomorrow. Now, the good news is I don't think we have to worry about any icing or freezing rain with this system. Maybe just a spit of it to start off the precipitation event here late tonight. But in general, look at the temperatures at about 5,000 feet in our atmosphere. They are well below the freezing mark, so well below 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So I don't think there's any doubt that all of southern Minnesota and Wisconsin is going to feature snow here for the most part as this system pivots through. So good news there, because I know many of us in southern Minnesota, especially down by the I-90 corridor, are kind of tired of the ice. So I think it's going to be mostly snow. Here's your future radar from the NAM 3K computer model guidance. And there it is, the snow. I'll rewind this for you. The snow, and here's your timestamp, by the way. The snow moves up into the Rochester area by about 10 or 11 o'clock tonight. That would include Mankato also. And then it overspreads western Wisconsin, Eau Claire, and the eastern Minnesota, the Twin Cities metro by about 1 or 2 in the morning. You could see by about 3 or 4 in the morning, should be snowing at a pretty good clip over basically all of southern and portions of east central Minnesota and western Wisconsin. And then that snow just continues to spin and pivot over eastern Minnesota and western Wisconsin as we go through the daytime hours tomorrow. And then probably right around the 3 or 4 o'clock time frame is when we start to decrease the precipitation to just flurries or spits of light snow. But no doubt by then there will be several of inches of snow on the ground. Here's your NAM 3K computer model guidance for potential snow, and most of the guidances are showing about the same thing here. Basically, we have 3 to 6 inch snow in the Twin Cities metro, and then as you get down into the Rochester and Albert Lee, La Crosse, Wisconsin areas. Whoops, sorry about that, everybody. Yeah, get down into La Crosse, Wisconsin area. Again, Eau Claire, western Wisconsin. I've had much of Wisconsin. You can probably expect somewhere in that 6 to 8 inch range. I may bring the totals down by an inch or two here as I start seeing the latest evening guidance come out. We'll see, but right now we're going to stick with that 6 to 8 inch snowfall over southeastern Minnesota. You can see that here. There's your 6 to 8 inch snowfall over southeastern Minnesota. And then, of course, as we go northwest, you get that tight snow gradient between the Twin Cities and St. Cloud. And as far as a extended outlook is concerned, and by the way, I want to thank Snell Motors, the Buick and GMC dealers in Mankato, for sponsoring this update. Can't do it without my sponsors. And Snell has jumped on board, and I really appreciate their trust in Novak Weather. And they're sponsoring this. They're sponsoring this extended outlook and this whole video. So thank you, Snell, for taking care of Novak Weather and the people that view our social media site. All right, here's your extended forecast. There's the big snows now for what would be late tonight and then, of course, into tomorrow. And then good news, I don't see any bitter cold Arctic outbreaks, at least in the 7-day period. For the most part, temperatures are going to be near or above average through the period, and maybe just a spit of snow early next week. Otherwise, dry for the most part. All right, that should be it. Hey, thank you again, Snell, for sponsoring this video update. I appreciate it. Take care, everyone. Make sure you are careful out on the highways here as we get into late tonight and during the day tomorrow. Tomorrow morning's commute really looks like a headache for many. All right, take care, everyone.